Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We made it. We sure did. Friday is here. And here we are. And that is that. Thank you for the heart, Mishana. Thank you for all of those of you who are liking the live already, right off the bat. Helps us out a lot. Thank you for those of you who are sharing the live and who are reposting the live. These things matter. These things matter a lot. Look at that. Luna and Destiny are on it. Zoe, I know you got like a couple hundred shares in the chamber, so let's see it. Let's see the chat just get spammed with your 1,000 shares. You can share with multiple people at once, by the way. You don't actually have to do that, where it's individual. But if you enjoy that, then whatever. That's good, Rivers. That's always exciting. Thank you for sharing the live with more than 10 people. Shauna, thank you for sharing the live. Luna and Destiny, thank you for sharing the live. Zoe. And welcome back, Shauna, Rivers, and Luna. You guys get your red carpet. And then, as far as those of you in the chat that I see that are not super fans, that's going to be Zoe, Destiny. And that's it so far. So, welcome back to all of you. Great to see you. Friday night live stream. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the finger heart and the love you so much, Zoe. Hey, Court. Welcome to the stream. Yes, double firework. Let's go. Thank you, Shauna. There's one of the goals. Thug, what's going on? Hope you all had a good Friday. You know, I certainly do hope so. Have fun, Zoe. I'll be talking, you'll be listening. Yeah, it's true, Luna. You got paid today, so that's very good. I'm glad you're on your way home, too. That's very good. Thank you for the feather mask, Shauna, as well. We do like that one. That is a good one. We're in the first few minutes of this thing, as always. We just wait for people to pile in. Thank you for liking the live, though, Destiny. Luna. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's gonna be a really difficult thing. It always is, standing for just the whole evening, like you've had to do. Thank you, Audrey. I appreciate that, and welcome to the stream as well. Yeah, I mean, I know your lunch was good. I know that you at least had a good time during the break. So that's something. That's definitely something. But hopefully the rest was good too. And thank you for the Go Popular and the Super Popular, Shauna. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna do all the stalking yourself, that's difficult. That's not easy. That's definitely gonna be even harder on your posture and your legs and everything. Thanks for the 2026 times 100 T as always, Destiny. Every single stream, every single night. Rivers, nice work. Sharing the live with more than 10 people. Wowie. Thank you, Shauna, for the mermaid times 100. So we're already on our way. Already on our way to good old gift goals here. They're actually relatively, yeah. Some of them are, well, one of them's new? No, all of them are, I just don't usually do this 3. So. I didn't acquire any tea, really. I already had it, but it's just hibiscus, as I have, like, for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, it was very thoughtful, Shauna. Thank you. Doing good with the likes, everybody. Thank you for that. We'll be at 10K in no time. Pretty quickly, I would say. That's what it's looking like. So that's at least good. Thanks for sharing the live, Destiny. Doing great with that shit, Destiny. Hey, Mary. Welcome to the stream. So, yeah. We will see where tonight takes us, I suppose. It's late. I'm tired as fuck. Almost as tired as last night, but not as bad. So, we'll see. Go watch my YouTube video, Mary. I have a couple of YouTube videos extensively outlining my tattoos. If you want to see me go through the tattoo meanings and designs and everything on stream, we do that whenever we hit our superfan goal. So those are your 2 options. Wait for superfan goal or YouTube video. Yeah, I mean, I'd be amazed if you did know it, because if you did, then you'd be essentially omniscient, because you've never been here before, but somehow you would have known that that was the case, so don't worry. There was no expectation for you to know. That's for sure. Good question, though. You know, that's a common question. But that's also why I made videos to outline it. Because it just takes so long to explain. Goodbye, Zoe. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that very much. Oof. I think I swear, I've gone like at least a week without this happening. But tonight it's happened. Unfortunately, it's happened, but that's okay. Sometimes the Friday night, I always say this. I feel like I'm always getting hit on fucking Fridays with, yeah, well, again, with people all over the world, Alex, it's really just relative. Because half of the people in here right now are on the West Coast, so it's like not that late. And then the other half of the people are in fucking Europe, so it's actually early. And then there's like two people in here that might be in the same time zone as me, in which case it is mad late. But anyway, it just is what it is. It's not the fact that it's late, it's the fact that it's Friday. So it's hit or miss, you know. People stay up late on Fridays. That's the fucking point. You don't have to work the next day. In most cases, if you have like a more typical work schedule. Other than that, if you the other side of that coin is that you just might have plans. A lot of people have Friday plans and things like that. So correct, you're on the West Coast, so you're 3 hours behind. As I said, hey Evelyn. It's almost 2 a.m. for Rivers. That's weird, because I actually thought that you had the same time zone as Mary. Pedro, yes. Jackie, you're the stranger, not me. You call me the stranger. It's you. I show up. I'm here every day. So hello, stranger, to you. Welcome back. Thank you for the heart me very much. It's good to see you. Yeah, we're all hoping it can get resolved quickly, Jackie. We are. Because if you're away, you're not here, then that's typically going to indicate to me and everyone that something's not right. You know what I mean? So I think we all got that sense. And on one hand, it's good to understand that is truly the reasoning. But on the other hand, I hope it resolves itself very quickly. You will get there. Everything always, goes back to some sort of state of equilibrium and homeostasis, but sometimes it takes a minute to settle. Thanks for liking the live, Mary. Destiny. Oh, fuck. Thanks for the follow, Mary. It is amazing. It is safe. It's definitely not as small as you think. unfortunately, it's just Friday, and it's late-ish. So, definitely bad vibes on that end, but partially my fault, partially the fact that it's Friday. So you're almost entirely correct. And thank you, Destiny. Appreciate that. I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I've only had to remove 2 people ever from the hundreds and thousands of people that are part of my community. I have never had to remove anyone except for 2. And that really tells you something. Number one, the people that find and actually become a part of it, they typically aren't somebody that's doesn't belong. But it also says that you got to be pretty fucking bad if you get removed. Like, if you get fucking banned, it's got to be egregious. It's got to be pretty rough. Not like horribly egregious, but it's just got to be like completely bad vibes terrible. And if it is bad vibes terrible, I got to look out for the community at large. And, you know, I can't please everybody. I never can, so kind of got to get rid of one to keep the rest happy in those cases. And even then, you know, it sucks to have to remove somebody, but sometimes it's just people that just kind of want to, like, maybe it's not even bad vibes, it's just like severe mental illness, or they just want to constantly, you know, talk about themselves and how they want to, like, end their lives, and like it's just so fucking, it's just not the place, you know? Like, we'll talk about minor struggles and things, but if the only time you ever come and talk to the community and it has nothing to do with the community or me or anyone else, and you're literally just like talking to yourself in the community, then we have a problem. There's a problem here. And the community has been the community for fucking, what, over 10 years, as I've said before. And it's not very often that I feel like massive shifts in the vibe. But when there is, I feel it hard, and I know that there is a cancer that needs to be cut out and vivisected. So that's what happens. That's what happens. And again, only has happened twice in the past year. At least in the past year. I mean, I'm sure there's been more in the past, but not that many. Not that many. You found it, Mary. That's what matters. That's what matters, ultimately. That's all we care about. Mm-hmm. But like when I'll just give you a good example, and you guys will see it again in the future at some point where somebody will join the community, and every time they speak and say anything, no one responds ever. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Anybody in this community is perfectly loving and accepting of everyone, but when somebody comes in and just says completely off the wall insane shit but also has nothing to do with the community or anything at all, no one responds to it ever, and then no one talks in the community. So what ends up happening? No one talks anymore. Nobody wants to be there anymore. In fact, everyone's uncomfortable. So that's why you got to get rid of somebody like that. Even though it's not egregious and it's not somebody like being legitimately negative. We never really had that, but it's just been like uncomfortable people that join the community for the wrong reasons and just want to talk about like nothing, essentially. Like, what are you here doing? What is happening right now? Hello to you from Brazil. Amazing. Shauna, thank you for the 2026 times 100. Thank you for the mermaid times 100. And thank you for the double firework times 5 and the double firework times 10 to Jackie also. Killer. And Destiny still's going strong with liking the live. Killing it. Oh, and shit, if you really want to like hit my pet peeves, especially like if you've joined the community, ask me what's wrong. Tell me I look upset. Tell me how I look. Tell me how I feel, and I'll automatically just switch off. I love all of you so much, but you do that, and pet peeve has been flip switched, and now I am whoosh. Boom. That's happened a few times in the past week, and it's like, I don't know. I'm just speaking. And number 2, I've already explained multiple times that I have been getting no sleep at all. Like, barely any sleep at all. Welcome back, Michelle. It's late enough for Michelle to be here, so that is good. Good, Michelle, how are you? Michelle's that one person that I always say isn't in the Discord. In case any of you forgot, she's that one person that I identify in that way. Rivers, Ivy's not. No, she's not in here. I haven't seen her. I went to take a shower before the stream and I could not find her afterward. So she's doing her own thing. She's doing her own thing. Peace is nice, yeah. 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 Sleeping in will be real nice. It'll be real nice for me too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Him. You didn't really preface what him is, or who him is. In your previous message, you said is Ivy in her box, and then your next message is my mother's getting cuddles from him. Does your mother have? Is your mother with her partner right now, and they're cuddling up, or what's going on there? I'm confused. Natalie, hello to you. Hello, hello, hello. We've crossed, nobody even said it, but we've crossed the threshold into almost 15K. Killer. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely impressive. Earl Grey. Okay. The cat is getting some nice time with mom. That's good. That's always good. Yeah, like the tea. But not the tea. It's a cat. With the name of tea. Because it's a gray cat. Play on words. Mm-hmm. Yup. It is a cute name for a cat. And yup. At the very least, half of the people here are not English first language people, so it's okay. Very normal. Yeah. It is a rare thing, I know that. I definitely know that. Thank you, Cloudy, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Oh, you have a cat named Voldemort, Mary? That's sick. I mean, Lucifer and Voldemort, pretty much the same thing. Just Lucifer is one fantasy character, and Voldemort is a different fantasy character, but they both kind of symbolize the same archetype, basically. They both really do. They're both the primary antagonist, and they both are kind of just symbolizing the bad, essentially. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Darth Vader would fit that mold really well. That'd be a crazy name, though. You'd have to name it like Vader or something like that. That's what you would have to do because, yeah, a double name first name, it would be too much, I think. You know what? Thank you to your For You page too. I'm glad you found me. And thank you for the 100 2026s, Shauna. Well, Cat Vader is still 2 words. It's still 2 words. I think if you just named it Vader, then you get the message. But Darth Vader. Darth is not really the name. Darth is just a title. It's like Professor Hawking, you know. Doctor Strange. Whatever it might be. Darth is present in every one of their names. Darth Maul, Darth Sidious. It's just a title. So, Vader would work 100%. And it would keep to the 1 name rule. Professor Jackson, yeah, exactly. Thanks for the mermaid times 100 as well, Shauna. There you go. That's a good long-ass name. And it's kind of a 2 names, but people do that. It is true. People definitely do that. Mm-hmm. Corrito, thanks for liking the live. Almost at 20K. That's great. That's good shit. Very good shit. See, Mary, you didn't name your cat Lord Voldemort, did you? You said your cat was named Voldemort. So you cut off the Lord because why would you have 2 names for a cat? Number 1. And number 2, Lord is just a title. Exactly. So this is the exact precedent we have to carry over to a cat like Meow or Vader. Things like that. You already kind of understand it. I mean, less so in President Meow, because that actually doesn't refer to anything at all. But for like Darth Vader play on sort of name, we already know, and we can exclude the title, and we're good. And yeah, I think that's really a really clever name for a turtle, Shauna, for sure. It is. Exactly. I just think that adding a title to a cat's name gives it 2 first names, and it is, I don't know, just a little bit verbose. But that's fine, you know. Do whatever you want, but I would never name my cat like 6 first names. I just wouldn't do that because, well, we don't name humans multiple names typically. But that's just me. You could name your cat I went down the street and bought a pack of ice. Like you could name your cat that, and that's fine. But that's not a name, that's 6 names. It's actually probably a lot more than that. Anakin, baby, let's go. Hey, Frost, what's going on? Sean, thanks for those beautiful stickers. I love those. Let's go. Thanks for liking that live, Carito. I love to see it. Oh, did I miss it? Nice stickers, Rivers, as well. I did miss it. Somehow I didn't see it. Slipped by me. We crossed into the 20K realm, so that's also great. Thanks to the hard work of Shauna, Mary, Rivers, and Carito. Killer. Absolutely amazing work. Nottingham, thanks for the follow. I'm just too fucking exhausted to talk on my own, honestly. Can't do it. Not tonight, not last night, can't do it tonight. There is no fucking way that I can... Especially, like, I was fine for most of the day. But, you know, it's late now, and... If I'm, like, prompted, I can answer, you know, as I have been. But holy fuck, I cannot be left to my own devices to think of anything good to talk about. Especially since that's already hard enough. Because I really just want to talk about what people want to talk about or hear. But, you know, sometimes I'll come up with something good randomly. Hey, Adele. Yeah, Shauna. If you can imagine four hours of sleep every night for 5 days straight, then you'll have it. But it's hard to imagine it, really. It really is hard to imagine it. You have to actually, like, try to get that little sleep for that many days. And you really have to experience it to, like, know what it's like. It's fucking wild. I use as little as possible, Mary. That's what I do. As little as possible, as natural as possible. And shower and, well, not shower, but wash my hair as little as possible. All that shit. I just don't bathe it in chemicals, and I don't bathe it in unnatural chemicals, so to speak, more specifically unnatural chemicals, and I don't bathe it in anything often. If I'm just going to shower, I'll just wash my body and things like that. But it's no good to be stripping your hair of its essential oils like every other day. It just isn't the best, because your hair naturally kind of takes care of itself. And that goes without saying that, like dyeing your hair, blow drying your hair, straightening your hair, curling your hair, any sort of heat or any sort of mass acidic dye is going to absolutely destroy your hair irreparably. But let's say you don't do any of those things. That's where what I'm talking about comes in when it comes to washing your hair and stripping it of all its oils. That, if you really could do it, it'd be 1 to 2 times a week, maybe 3. And that's the secret. Di, hello. Thanks, Ollie. Appreciate that. Thanks, Di. Greetings to you, too. Yeah, every 3 days. So what's that? 7 days in a week? That means you wash it twice a week. So even though you're not doing it for the reasons that I said, you are ultimately, just by not liking wash day, doing exactly what I said is the best way to do it. Even though it may not be for the reasons that will keep your hair long and good, you just do it because you hate it. That you do it that often, in terms of not so often, because you hate it. And that's fine too, because same end result, it's better for it. Yeah, that's the way to go. Especially if you don't have anything to do prior to or after your shower, or you're just going to sleep in a couple hours after your shower or whatever it might be, then please just air dry it. Please just just air dry it. Don't towel dry it either. Towel drying's not great for your hair either. The most you want to do with your towel is kind of do the typical put it up on your head, spin it around so that it tightens up, and then you have a little towel ponytail thing. That's all you want to do with your towel. Otherwise, if you're using agitation with the towel, like I always used to do when I was younger, you are creating knots in your hair. You are agitating your strands and creating split ends. And there's nothing good that comes from it. So, wrap up your hair in the towel. Don't agitate it. And then, after 10 minutes or whatever the fuck, remove the towel. Let the hair air dry. And you're good. And the other thing is, if you really want to go the extra mile excluding, totally aside from, wash frequency, lack of or abstinence of heat treatments and dye treatments, then you would look into 100% natural shampoos and 100% natural conditioning agents. And then from there, you're golden. Like, you're 100% full spectrum in the green for hair health. That's it. There you go, Zoe. Scrunch. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you. Zoe, Mary's talking to you here if you're not looking at your phone screen. Yeah. Yeah, if you braid it, it will retain a lot of the moisture and it will come, and your hair will come out wavy after. And I'm sure you don't braid it and keep it in the braid for too long anyway, because obviously if you kept it in too long, now you're looking at mold in your hair, you know, but you're not doing that, obviously. Nothing bad about braiding your hair and kind of letting it just train your hair's memory in that way. I've seen plenty of girls do that exact same thing, where they will get out of the shower the night before, braid the hair, sleep with it like that, wake up the next day, take it out in the morning, and then your hair's wavy all day. Boom. I'll do it for you, Zoe. I got you. Yeah, precisely, like, fucking A. And curlers, like, the other healthy heat-free way, if you want wavy, braid your hair while it's wet, or damp, I'd say, not wet, but damp. Sleep with it overnight, remove it in the morning, boom, waves. But if you want curly, you're gonna have to go with heatless curlers. Heatless curlers will do it. If you really want, like, more pronounced curls. If your hair, again, like, if you have somebody who has mad curly hair, then don't do anything. But if you're somebody who has wavy or straight hair, then you've got to use those. And what sucks for people with curly hair is there is no way to straighten. There's no way to make your hair straight or wavy from curly hair without heat. Really. So, for people with curly hair, if like you want to change to wavy or straight, you got no choice other than the frickin' flat iron. But if you're somebody who has straight or wavy, you can employ, well, honestly, it's not just one or two. It's like multiple methodologies that you can employ to achieve the end result of curly or wavy from straight or wavy. So, curly-haired people do have that slight disadvantage. Yeah. I don't know what that's like. Like my hair even right now is trying to be wavy, but yeah, my hair is very wavy and sometimes even curly, but it's just that when I first get out of the shower and the humidity is terrible, it like makes my hair look kind of straight even though the ends are wavy. So you are looking at wavy, but normally when the humidity's normal and my hair isn't fully full of static due to no humidity in the air, I've got waviness and volume. Granted, I still have volume because my hair is like magnetizing away from itself. So I have that effect. But I definitely don't have straight hair naturally. It's just the fucking stupid humidity, and I hate it so much. I literally hate it so much. It's like actually painful to not have a hat on most of the time on stream because God, I hate it. I hate this look of like staticky, terrible hair. Now, to be fair, unless you go and look at any of my videos, you're not gonna know or understand what I'm talking about. And also, there's a good chance that you joined, within the past 2 months, and you only know what my hair looks like this, because there's been no humidity in the air for that amount of time. But this isn't normal. This is not normal. But I appreciate it though. Well, Zoe, I'll tell you one thing here is that you're not alone with hating it, because I would say about when it comes to curly, straight, or wavy, 95% of people, whether it's guys, girls, but especially girls, because they're the ones that more in today's society, because again, in any society before today's modern society, men all had hair this long, and so did women. But anyways, aside from that, in today's society, it's especially women, because they're the ones typically with long hair these days. 95% of women don't like their fucking hair in terms of curly, straight, or wavy. It is almost always the case that whoever has wavy hair wishes they had straight hair. Whoever has curly hair wishes they had wavy hair. Whoever has wavy hair wishes they had straight hair, or vice versa. It's just almost always the case with most people. Very careful about what I say, because there's going to be somebody in here that's going to say, well, I love my hair type and I've never wanted any other hair type. Well, I didn't say that you didn't. Again, it is 95% of the people. And there's 7 billion people on the planet. Just kidding. There's not actually 7 billion people on the planet, but there's a solid few billion people on the planet. 95% of those is a lot, but there's still a lot in that 5% that do love their hair type. But the point is most people want what they can't have. So the grass is always greener. If you have brown hair, you seem to idealize and idolize like blonde hair. Or if you have black hair, you seem to really wish you had red hair. And these are all examples, but most people just always want what they don't have, for the most part, which is fucking tough. Yeah, I know, Zoe. You've told me that a few times now, that you that you always wear your hair up. Yeah, I remember. It's the exact same with eyes, yeah. I specifically was actually making a blanket statement. It's not just hair. It's not just hair color. It's not just hair type. Yeah, of course it's eye color. It's so many different things. It's prevalent no matter what. No matter what. Let's say you kind of get fed up at your job. Let's say you actually have a good job, but you kind of get bored of it or fed up with it, and you think that this next job that you're kind of looking at is going to be super amazing and it's going to fulfill all your dreams. Well, then you quit your job, you go to the new job, and you realize that you have just as many complaints about the new job as you did the old job. And it's really not much better, if at all, than the old job, because it, like, every job has its own downfalls, annoyances, shitty things. Now, there are some jobs, obviously, where you're dealing with, like, harassment in the workplace or something. Of course, there are extenuating circumstances that are going to put you outside of what I'm talking about. But, yeah. The grass is always greener is a very, very accurate blanket statement to apply to most things, really. Most things. Thanks, Destiny. I happen to be Michael Jagman. Yeah, I know. I look nothing like Michael Jagman, but I am him, so that's fine. I'll take it. I'll accept it. But if Michael Jagman died at like what, 40, 45, 38, whatever the fuck age he was, that would be news to me. It would have had to be some horrific incident or some kind of disease or some kind of him ending his own life sort of situation, because he was like, what, 38, 40, 45 maybe. So I also never heard of that either. So that's news to me if that's really true. Paper Crane, Shauna, coming back with the stream support. There she goes. There she goes with it. Paper Crane. I love the Paper Crane. Orange. Holy crap. Holy crap. Look at that. Look at that. You can pick the color of the Paper Crane when you send it? No shit. I didn't know that there was any sort of gifts like that. That's actually really cool. That's cool. Can you pick a green one too? Is there green Paper Cranes? I don't know if it's giving you like a slider where you can slide it all around the rainbow sort of thing, or if it's like yellow, blue, pink, purple, but no green. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. Jordan Blake isn't the lead singer of A Skylit Drive. And if this Jordan Blake character is the lead singer of A Skylit Drive, then that is news to me also. Maybe he was a long time ago before. No, because Michael Jackman has long hair, had like fully long hair like me forever. So I think you were thinking of Michael Jackman, not Jordan Blake's. So I think you just had the wrong like name and person, but you had the right image of the person in your mind. But that's okay. Destiny says that she can fold a paper crane. Incredible. I have actually folded a paper crane or two in my day. I actually used to have it hanging in here. I made a whole string of them. I made paper cranes, and then I put like a sewing needle through like the main body of each one, and then I put a bead at the bottom of each one so that the paper cranes would stay where they're supposed to be from gravity. And yeah, so I had this whole string of like paper cranes, boop, 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 and it would hang from the ceiling or wherever I put it. And they were all different color, like foil paper, origami paper. So, cool stuff. I always loved paper folding. What a fucking amazing art. Who the fuck thought of that, you know? Who the fuck thought of anything, really? I still can't get over who thought of, like, cigarettes. Who thought of those? It guaranteed had to have been, because it was really the Native Americans that did it, I believe. And I think they were just burning things on the fire to keep the fire going, and then, you know, they threw on tobacco leaves, and boom, they like felt a little something from the smoke, maybe, and then they started to catch on. I mean, again, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years of people catching on to this shit, but yeah, that's just one interesting example, right? Like, who the fuck thought that this one particular leaf just happened to be like the most, it just happened to produce oils that contained compounds that literally did highly addictive things to the brain, but also focused the brain so much and gave energy to the brain so much. Interesting. But who the fuck thought of paper folding, you know? Well, the Japanese did. It's Japanese paper folding. That's what origami is. And it is just really, really cool that somebody was just like, you know, yeah, boom. And I was like, whoa, what else can we do here? This is so cool. I just told you why, Zoe, because it's incredibly addictive. It makes you feel amazing. It focuses you. It de-stresses you. Yeah. There's a very good reason why people do those things. Now, do you want to be addicted to stuff like that? No. You really don't want to be addicted to anything. But there's a reason why it's addictive. Because your brain loves it. No, origami's not addictive. Not physically. If you think that I think that origami is physically addictive, then you must be brand new to the stream. Oh, wait. You are. You are! Yeah, and again, Shauna, that's not physical addiction. You're not going to have physical withdrawals from music. I know you're going to be facetious and say yes, but you're not. There is no physical mechanism actually causing you to have withdrawals from music. You'll have mental withdrawals, you know. Mental withdrawals are cool. That's fine. They can be fine. They can be bad too. They can be healthy. They can be unhealthy. It's not really great to be addicted to anything, I suppose, though. Too much of anything can be rough. Even too much of a good thing can be rough in certain reasons. For certain reasons. Yeah, caffeine's super addictive. Caffeine's kind of like, it's not an analog of nicotine, but it's similar because caffeine's also very fast-acting. Not as fast-acting as nicotine, but it is fast-acting. It is stimulating. It is focusing. And it is physically addicting. So, caffeine is another one. That is a very interesting one. And it is very much just like nicotine, like how did they think of this? How did they come up with this? How were they like, let's take this bean and boil it in water. I mean, it smells interesting. Let's just boil everything that we find in water and drink its, drink the weird tincture that we get out of boiling it and extract. It's an extraction. Sorry, not tincture. Drink the extraction and see what happens to us. And then they found, that green tea leaves have caffeine. Ooh, nice. This feels good. And then same thing with like coffee beans and stuff. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Well, if you take it often enough, Zoe, you'll be addicted. ADHD medication is literally amphetamines. It's 10 times more addictive than caffeine. It's a billion times more addictive than nicotine. It's a billion times more addictive than alcohol. Alcohol is really addictive, so maybe not a billion. But amphetamines make you feel real good, focus you intensely, and if you abuse them at all, you're going to be hardcore addicted, and they can cause a lot of problems. But if you use them in a smart way, especially if you have ADHD, then it can benefit you a lot. So if you'd rather not take it, then yeah, maybe the best thing for you is to take it on a test day. You have a test that day or a big midterm or something like that, then you can take it strategically to just benefit you on very specific days that you could benefit from it. Otherwise, if you find that you can carry on through life and have a good time without it and not really be like suffering and you know what I mean, like suffering from the effects of ADHD, then definitely go without it. Take as needed, exactly. Because if you are taking it every day, there is going to be some level of dependence involved. It's just inevitable. That's how it works when you are dealing with amphetamine class drugs. Liz, thank you for sharing the live. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about in terms of amphetamine class drugs, well, Ritalin and other ADHD medication, they are cousins to methamphetamine. Meth is an amphetamine. It's literally in the name. They weren't very fancy with naming it. Ritalin is an amphetamine too, and other ADHD drugs. It's just named fancy, so you're not thinking amphetamine, but it is. Meth is just a little bit stronger than things like Ritalin and the other name brand bullshit, which I don't really know the names of. I don't really take it. Obviously, I don't have any prescriptions at all, actually. Liz, thanks for sharing the live. Well, I really tried to understand your multi-thread explanation, Zoe, but I couldn't. So it's too late. I'm too tired and exhausted. So I'm not even going to blame you for this. I'm just going to say that I can't follow it. I can't follow it. Dasha Ola. Yeah. Yeah. And for the longest time, you could literally just say you had ADHD and you would get put on said highly addictive substance. And it's like, okay. Like, for the longest time, they wanted people on that shit. They would so easily call you a child with ADHD when, well, actually, you're just a child that has some fucking energy that they need to get out on the playground or whatever it might be, you know? I was one of those kids. I can speak from experience. Before you say anything to the contrary, I was one of those kids. I had a lot of energy, and my teacher in elementary school was like, recommended to whoever it was that then recommended to my parents that I should be put on ADHD medication, aka meth, aka its analog, not actually meth, but its analog. And my parents were like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And no. And thank God that they had brains, because they were right. I grew out of it because I was just a child that had a lot of child energy. Isn't that fucking crazy? Isn't that a novel topic? Isn't that something crazy? It seems very profound, but it's not. They just were, I mean, for the longest time, I don't know how it is now, but for the longest time, they were tossing that shit out like it was candy. Very interesting. Yeah, 4th grade. That was like I think mine, when they tried to diagnose me, which is fucking insane, was in 2nd grade, I think, would be what mine, when that all went down for me, 2nd grade. And if you're in elementary school at all, period, I don't think you should be calling out children who haven't even developed a cerebral cortex yet at all. Like, literally, the brain has developed this much out of this much. And I mean this much. You can't make those kind of judgment calls that early. And what do you think that does to a child's brain, putting them on amphetamines of all goddamn substances from the age of a child for the rest of their lives? What do you think that's going to do to them if they try and say, oh, I'm going to come off it, I'm not going to do it as much? Rebound effect. Now they really have trouble focusing because they're addicted to amphetamines that focus them. Isn't that crazy? When maybe if you would have just waited a little longer and thought, oh, this child probably just has child energy because they're a child. Some children need training to focus, or they need to kind of get their energy out so that they then can focus. Exhibit A, you're looking at him. And then later down the road, their cerebral cortex is going to develop. They're going to mature out of a 8-year-old child's brain and body. They're going to be able to focus. It's going to be fine. And they're not addicted to amphetamines, which then has the exact reverse thing that you want to happen because they're addicted to amphetamines. So even if they wanted to come off of them, now they're addicted to amphetamines, which were, what happens when you're addicted to something is, amphetamines focus you, right? So when you come off of amphetamines, you're having physical withdrawals, which then cause you not to be able to focus because your brain doesn't need to produce the right neurotransmitters and neurochemicals to make you focus. There's no reason for it anymore. You're pin focused. You're pinned in on that shit. So anyway, that's not to say that like ADHD is a fucking myth. It's not. There's plenty of people that have it. People have it. Some of you here today have it. But I'm just talking about how for the longest time they handed it out like candy. And they really did. That diagnosis was as common as the common cold. And I'm pretty sure it still is. And you know what? Actually, I think it's more common as the years go on. I think that sort of shit gets more common as the years go by. Because I feel like every other day I hear somebody say, I have ADHD and I have depression. Like, when did ADHD and depression become self-diagnosed and completely loose terms that basically have diluted and muddied the waters down to the point where ADHD and depression actually mean nothing anymore? They mean nothing anymore because, number one, most of the people that are saying those things haven't even been professionally or clinically diagnosed. And number two, you could just have a bad day one day and have depression now. You have depression now. Fucking crazy what's going on out there. We're in the trenches, folks. We're living through it. That's what I'm talking about, Shauna. You gotta get the wiggles out. You gotta get the frickin' energy out. That's precisely what you gotta do. 4 years old. Yeah, there you go, Shauna. That's fucking insane. Yeah, I was not much older than that. I was if I was in second grade, then I was 7 years old when my teacher was trying to get my parents to put me on that shit. Thanks for the follow, Brooklyn. Yep. Pills are the last resort. Anyway, when it comes to band-aiding a problem, because that's all it is, you're not actually treating any root causes of anything. When you give somebody like ADHD medication, you're just band-aiding the problem by creating another one. Same thing with depression pills, same thing with most any mental health, especially mental health disorders or troublesome things. You're band-aiding a problem that then creates a host of other problems. Hello, Rebecca. But it's so easy as a parent to just be like, here's an iPad, knock yourself dead. Here is a few pills. Now I don't have to worry about what's wrong with you or do any sort of thinking about what could be the problem with you and what could I fix. Now, there's not a problem with me. There's not a problem with my parenting style. There's not a problem with their environment or what kind of stimulation they get or whatever it might be. Like, you're not actually thinking about what might have caused this. It's just automatically like stuff some pills down your throat. This isn't a child that's going to grow up to be an adult that's going to be, that could potentially be really fucked up by what you did to them when they didn't need any of that, and they could have just used a better environment or a little bit better parenting or a little bit more attention or a little bit more care or whatever it might be. Not in all cases. Sometimes it really is. You give them everything and they just slightly, they just have a neurochemical deficiency of some sort, or, maybe a deficiency in one region of the brain or something like that. Those things happen too, just as much, not just as much, but they do happen at times. And so those times you do need the Band-Aid fix, because the other side of the coin is a lot scarier and a lot worse. And in that case, you have to make that decision. You have to make that trade-off. But as the parent of a child that can't consent or speak for themselves or ever hope to make their own decisions because they don't know better, you're supposed to know better. And you are supposed to really exhaust all your other options before going for the big guns. In ADHD's case, the big guns are meth's cousin. I don't think that's very crazy to say. It's not a crazy take. It's not a take either. It's just a fact. And honestly, the other side of the coin, if you actually think that the other side of the coin is the way that it should be, then that's kind of the crazy take. Unfortunately, what is the normal take is the insane take. Welcome back, Riley. I'm from the United States, Rebecca. Lil, thanks for the follow. Exactly, Zoe. Exactly, Shauna. Exactly, Luna. Yeah, there's definitely other ways. There's definitely other ways for teachers to handle it other than be like, hey, parents, get your kids on drugs. Like, probably not. Probably not. That's probably not the only way. Hey, Nita. I certainly have. I'm here. Gerardo, what's going on, Jer? Yeah. You can have some of those symptoms, but again, you would need to go to a psychiatrist or psychologist to actually be diagnosed with it. You would definitely want to think really fucking hard on if you want to completely alter your brain chemistry with depression medication. Because depression medication is not a guaranteed fix. In a lot of cases, it makes it 10 times worse because they have not figured out depression medication at all. So you have to consistently cycle the medication. You have to consistently be on this game of like, oh, well, I actually want to end everything even more today. Maybe this isn't the right one. And then you go through years. In a lot of cases, you go through years of trial and error, of feeling even worse than you did in the beginning, all to then find maybe the right one. And even then, the right one, for the most part, just blunts your emotions. So not only are you incapable of feeling as depressed and sad, but you are equally as incapable of feeling happy and excited and joy and elation and awe and love. Now, does that sound really good? Probably not. Probably not. But again, if you are suffering from absolutely crippling depression, then you gotta weigh those things out. You have to weigh those things out because that could be the answer for you. That could be the barrier between you ending things and for yourself and you staying alive. So it's just, you just have to weigh these things out a lot harder than people really want you to do. At least society wants you to do. Exactly, Mary, and that's why I said it, because physiologically and mechanistically, that is what depression medication does. SSRIs. selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. When you selectively modulate serotonin and its reuptake, you don't just selectively only numb the bad feelings. You numb every feeling. That's just how it works. But for those of you new people that have no idea, I've done so many years of medical science, and especially neurological science especially, but also physiological and anatomical science equally as long. This is like the stuff that I could speak on for a long time and give extensive insight into, so I'm not just talking out of my ass. I know the why. I only really speak on things that I know a lot about and can back up and argue if somebody tries to fucking argue with me. I'm just very careful about what I say, and I also am very careful about not giving you guys bullshit. I'm not just going to give you some stupid take because I feel like that's the right answer. No, I don't really like to do that. I like to give you things that I can actually back up. Things that are true. Regardless of, if society or culture or whatever it might be at large thinks about those facts. It doesn't really matter because facts really don't care. Facts do not care about what culture or society says or thinks. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Shauna. Zoe, what? 1/2. Well, Zoe's been doing ... which equally tells me that she hasn't finished her sentence. So you're doing just fine, Zoe. You can do either way. 1 out of 2 and 2 out of 2 or whatever the fuck versus I say this sentence ... and then say ... the rest of the sentence. That's fine too. And honestly, technically you're doing less work because you're not having to go between 2 separate special characters. You just hit the one special character, period, and you're using just as many character count, because 1-2 or ... they're both 3. So it's whatever floats your boat, folks. And that's exactly what I'm saying. It's got to be the last resort. Got to be the last resort, baby. Yep. That makes sense. Well, a psychologist shouldn't care about, at least a psychologist worth their salt shouldn't be thinking about how people are going to treat you. Because especially if like you're being overrun by a terrible mental illness or something, but a psychologist should also do their due diligence and kind of make sure that they're not diagnosing you without really being sure that they should diagnose you, because psychologists and psychiatrists understand that according to, the DSM-5, you can... The patient has to actually meet so many criteria that you can't just establish in one day, or a very short amount of time at all, before you can actually officially diagnose them with something as hardcore as depression or ADHD and things like that. There's a lot of really hardcore implications of these throw around paltry mental illnesses, because, and I only call them paltry because they've become paltry through the fact that everyone self-diagnoses themselves, and it's based on like, oh, you know, like sometimes it's just the stupidest things. And it's really a big deal for your psychologist or your psychiatrist to diagnose you with something, because in most cases, alongside that diagnosis comes the medication. And then alongside that medication comes addiction and side effects. Massive side effects. Crazy side effects. You don't want to, again, as a last resort, you do want to. But not as a last resort, you really don't want to mess with your brain chemistry. You just, it's going to cause a cascade of terrible downstream effects. And you know what? One of the biggest ones that people self-diagnose themselves with, other than depression and OCD is definitely one of them, by the way. Yeah, but depression and ADHD is anxiety. People self-diagnose themselves with anxiety all the time. Now, we all know what anxiety feels like if we, you know, kind of self-diagnose ourselves with anxiety, but there's varying degrees of anxiety. And one of the results of getting like a clinical diagnosis of hardcore anxiety is the medication, yet again. And the medication for anxiety is barely better than basically putting you on 10 shots a day of the strongest alcohol you can possibly find. Because what they end up putting you on is benzodiazepines or barbiturates of some sort. And those are so highly addictive. They are so easily abused. It's essentially like taking a pill that gets you really drunk minus all of the loss of motor coordination and motor control. And in a lot of ways, benzos are worse than amphetamines. In a lot of ways, benzos are worse than... I mean, they're all really, really bad, and they all have their own different side effects because they affect a different part of your brain. So the downstream effects and the addictive potential really varies between these three classes of drugs that, you know, treat and band-aid three different classes of illnesses from three different, very different parts of the brain. But yeah, there's another one that I didn't even think of that till just a few minutes ago. That was like anxiety too. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. That's part of it. If you're on anxiety medication and you take that anxiety medication every single day, and then after a few months you decide you're not going to take the anxiety medication for a day, you're going to have crippling anxiety. Isn't that interesting how that works? But that's just how your brain works. GABA B and GABA A agonists, like any kind of barbiturate, Xanax, Ativan, things like this, they are agonists of your GABA system, which is the same thing that alcohol does. But they're selective, so they don't again, they just don't affect your motor coordination as much. But the result of taking them often makes it so your brain gets used to that, and then when you abstain from consuming that compound, you then fall into literally crippling anxiety. Like the scariest days and moments you've ever had and you've ever felt in your life. And for that reason, benzo class drugs like that are some of the most dangerous ones. And that's also a part of the reason why alcohol itself is a really, really bad drug to be addicted to. Not only, I mean, there's a plethora of reasons as to why, especially just because the withdrawals from alcohol can literally kill you, but same thing with benzos too. There's very few classes of drugs that can kill you from the withdrawals. Opioids and opiates, you can go through those withdrawals and not die. But alcohol, you have to be supervised. Benzos, Xanax, Ativan, things like those, you've got to be supervised or you're going to most likely die if you go through the withdrawals alone, if you've gotten addicted to them. Like, it's crazy. It's insane. And they give those out like candy too. People are so quick to say, oh, you might have anxiety. Like, let's get you on this med here. Or people are so quick to say, yes, I have anxiety. And for those of you that really have anxiety, and for those of you that really have ADHD, and for those of you that really have depression, how does it feel when random ass people that don't, you know them, right? You know them. And they say things like, yeah, I've got anxiety. Yeah, I've got depression. It doesn't feel very good for you, does it? If you actually suffer from those things, because quite honestly, they're muddying the waters. And they're taking away from like what it actually means to go through those things. And they're trivializing it. Yeah, Luna, you're probably not going to be able to join back because I'm going to end the stream real soon. But good night to you. And it is what it is. It is what it is. You're muddying the waters. People really take away from the meaning of words and what the meaning of things are when they... Because nowadays it's very interesting because nowadays it's almost a badge of honor. It's almost literally a badge of honor if you say you have anxiety or you have OCD. Like, people brag about that shit nowadays. It's very fucking interesting, isn't it? You've noticed it. I know you've noticed it because that's just how it is. It's like literally just a very, very typical part of society these days. Like, what other thing do people brag about having other than OCD, ADHD, and depression? And I mean it. They brag about it. And then for people that actually suffer, again, very careful about words. People that brag about suffering from those things when they're not suffering at all. You who are actually suffering from those things, it takes away from you, and it takes away from the meaning of what other people perceive you to have. Because you come to somebody and you tell them, let's say, because Shauna's been talking about it, right? Zoe's been talking about it. Zoe's been, let's say Zoe is suffers from ADHD. She has a lot of problems in her life that are caused by ADHD. I'm not saying this. I'm just giving examples here because you've talked about it, Zoe. So don't take me. I'm just using you as an example, and it's not a true example. But let's say you've suffered from these things. It's really caused a lot of problems in your life, and you've had to take medication for it, and blah, blah, blah. I know I'm good, but I'm just saying, before you say, well, I don't actually blah, 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 like, don't do that, because I'm just using you as an example. You have forever just, had to deal with the fucking bullshit of this. It sucks. It's kind of made your life more difficult. You have to take this stupid medication that you don't like, in order to be able to focus and take a test like normal people. And then you have people coming in and diluting the meaning of ADHD because they just say, yeah, I've got ADHD. I've got ADHD. So the next time in today's society you go and you tell somebody, I actually have ADHD, they end up looking at you like you're a pussy because everybody's got ADHD. I know everybody around me has ADHD. Everybody says they do, and they're just fine. So like you can apply that exact example, hypothetical scenario to each one of those: OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression. The big ones that people like to brag about these days, OCD, people love to brag about that one and make it up, even though they're not diagnosed with it at all and definitely don't have it at all. And it just makes it so when you actually try to have somebody understand you and tell them about yourself and tell them about the struggles you face, they don't actually understand those struggles, and honestly, they trivialize them or just think you're one of those people that fucking does that like everybody else and says you do, but you don't really. It sucks. It sucks. Like, OCD is crippling. If you have hardcore OCD, like, yeah, sure. There's some people that have it a little bit worse than others where, like, yeah, sometimes they have to, like, spin around 3 times and there's a few things that I have to do in my day, and I genuinely believe that the United States is going to have a nuclear bomb dropped on it if those things don't happen. If I don't spin around 3 times and flip the light switch 6 times and, say hoo-ha before I walk out the door, the United States is going to get a nuclear bomb dropped on it. Okay, but then there are other people who literally can't leave their house because the OCD is so bad that they're just constantly walking around doing their crazy tics all day. It's absolutely debilitating. It is absolutely debilitating to some people with, like, true OCD that they've been diagnosed with. Meanwhile, everybody nowadays wants to say, I have OCD, yeah, because I like to, like, have some, or I like my closet color coordinated. I really like when my closet's color coordinated. I have my shoes organized by shoe type, and it really bothers me when they're not. Okay, and so you get my point. It's fucking insane. But that's society nowadays with things like that. So we pretty much covered the whole mental health issue topic tonight. From start to finish, from the drugs to the downsides to the upsides to the cultural perspective. We've covered it all. Pretty much. So, great. Yeah, that's not OCD. That's not OCD, Zoe. Definitely not. Like, again, you can have some shit that you gotta do. You can do that stuff. Some things are just your brain. Like, one thing about your brain which is really interesting is, let's say you get a tooth pulled at the dentist, and I think a lot of you can relate to this. Your brain especially in your oral cavity, your mouth. It is, your tongue is extremely exploratory, and your tongue works all day to map out the interior of your mouth. All day. You get a tooth pulled or a filling added, and for the next year, maybe 5 years, your tongue cannot stop feeling that area of change, because your tongue is working very closely with your brain to map that change in the geological landscape of your oral cavity. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. You have these little habits that you have to do. You have to do. So you roll your wrists. It's just a little thing that your brain likes you to do. You like to, make a little sound with your mouth. You have like a little saying that you always say, like fucking, for me, I say for sure all the time. You know what it's just there's a whole slew of things that you can have little habits of, but that's not OCD. But people are so easy to say it, to come up with it. And again, you can go deeper and you can say, oh yeah, I like my closet color coordinated. I like my shoes organized by type, whatever it is. And that's not OCD either. I don't think we do change topics that quickly, because I've been talking on the same fucking topic for the past hour, guys. Son of a fucking bitch. I've been talking on the same topic for an hour, and to be honest, we're still talking on the same topic, by the way. The topic is still the same topic, which is mental illness and mental health. We're just now talking about a different type of mental illness than depression. That's all. But we're still talking about shit people, and we're still talking about mental health, and we're still talking about things like that. At times, the topic can change, but again, I'm talking about the brain and teeth. I'm not actually talking about the teeth at all. I'm really talking about the brain. The brain's need to map things, especially when it comes to the tongue. I'm talking about tics and habits, which are correlated with OCD. But again, according to the DSM, you really need to meet a multitude of factors in order to actually be diagnosed with something like OCD, which those professionals know and understand and have to test you on for a lengthy amount of time to even be there. Yeah. People at social media diagnose them. They also let themselves diagnose themselves. And the reason why people like to brag, and it is brag, about having some sort of mental illness is because they feel like they can now, either be a part of a club or get some sympathy or feel special. Just feel special, essentially. And that's too bad. That's too bad. Correct. Being tested for OCD, but also many other mental illnesses. I was talking about this at length before. It's not just OCD. It's really, if you're doing it right, depression, anxiety, even like all the things you kind of have to get tested on for a pretty lengthy amount of time, because a true professional isn't going to test you for one day and then throw you on amphetamines or barbiturates or SSRIs. I mean, that's just insane if they're going to do that shit. But you name the mental illness, folks. Name it. You name it, and it's the same. Correct. It can take 2 months, it can take 3, it can take half a year. It just depends on when your professional feels comfortable with doing it. But if all it takes is like 5 days to diagnose you with it, find a new one. you know, because it's supposed to take a long time, that's for damn sure. Well, that just means you can hear the paranormal, Zoe. That just means you hear ghosts and stuff. You just have a sixth sense. That doesn't mean you're having a mental health disorder. You're just a psychic. That's all that is. Thank you for the Mystic drink, Shauna. I do love the Mystic drink. That was a freaking Halloween gift. I'm surprised that's still here. We actually used to have the Mystic drink on the gift goals a lot back around Halloween time. Yeah, during COVID, for sure, it was... People were going insane with the fucking diagnoses. There is, of course, the caveat of the fact that no one's normal. There is no normal. And everybody does have their own neurological intricacies and quirks and things like that, but when it comes to a true like mental health illness that you need to be put on medication for, you do need to go through the proper channels and have that diagnosed properly, because the implications of going on these things are very, very serious. Thank you for the 2026 times 100 and the mermaid times 100, Shauna, and the It's Corn times 10. Thank you, Zoe. I'm glad that you find my voice very calming. You've said that many times before, and many of you guys say that, so it's no surprise to me. I appreciate whenever you guys say it. You don't have to be sorry or say IDK, because I know. I believe it. I trust you on that, and I appreciate it. I love to be able to give you that effect. It can have that end result, yeah. Yep. Well, if somebody comes at you and they say, yeah, I've got OCD too, but meanwhile, their OCD is not actually OCD at all, and they're one of those people that self-diagnose themselves, like I gave you many examples of before. Meanwhile, you're literally suffering. If your friend is telling you this and you believe them, then you're going to be like, well, why would I go and like seek help if my friend is doing just fine? Like, I'm sure I can deal with this. Like, I'm sure it's fine. Who knows? You know, so like, yeah, there's just so many downstream effects from people. You know, this weird new like join the club or braggadociousness of mental health disorders. Like, you shouldn't want to have mental health disorders. You shouldn't want to have them. You shouldn't be bragging to have them. You should be dreading getting a diagnosis of a mental health disorder. And you should not want them. It's like when you were a kid and you wished you had braces. But again, you were a kid. And you just thought they were cool. But again, like, that's kind of like the same thing. Like, well, my teeth are really bad, so I need braces. I really want braces. No, your teeth aren't bad. You don't need braces. You're fine. You just think braces look cool as a kid. So many people thought that. I did, because I was a kid. Yeah, I don't want you to stop, Zoe. I'm glad to hear that, Shauna. We love the nightly routine. And my streams are my nightly routine as well. So I appreciate you joining my nightly routine alongside me. And I'm glad that I soothe you and inspire you to do better also. I think that's a really good and powerful thing. And I'm glad that my opinions of voice are very stimulating to your brain, Luna. Yeah, mental health disorders are no fun. It's a disorder, and it's something that you suffer from. It's not something that you benefit from. So if you find yourself benefiting from calling out a mental illness that you most likely don't have, then you're doing it wrong. You probably don't have it, and you probably should stop doing that for many reasons. Yeah, hypochondriac is what that is, Ken. Hypochondriacs wake up almost every day and just think that there is something wrong and they have to go to the doctor, and they constantly are at the doctor, and part of it is the need for attention. Somewhere in their past they didn't get that kind of attention and care, so they purposely make up things, and it's almost like they don't realize that they're making it up. But they are, and the other half of them cognitively does know that they're making it up, but they want that attention from the doctor and the care, and the checkup, and their family to care about them and worry about them. They crave it, and it feels so good to them because maybe they never got it in the past. So it is what it is. Yeah, it really sucks, that sort of hypochondriac situation. And then other times, it's not so much that they want attention, but it's that they just genuinely feel like they're dying every single time they, like you feel a pain in your wrist and you're like, it's cancer. It's cancer. And then you have to go to the doctor and get it scanned, blah, blah, blah. There's that other side of it too, where they just genuinely believe that they're falling apart and dying every day of their life. And that's sad in its own way also. That's also sad in its own way. So, it is what it is. Literally, exactly. Yeah. I know. You just did, Zoe. You just did. You brought back the memory. And that's good that if you go to the hospital or the doctor, something's actually wrong. That's very good. Yeah, exactly. It's not just the doctor. It's everyone around them. It's that feeling of everyone around you, including the doctor, being like, "What's wrong? Oh my God! Like I heard you might have cancer." But then that backfires, It's like taking a drug. You take it enough, and the effects start to get less and less and less. They taper off. You get used to them. Humans react the same way emotionally to things. If somebody keeps telling you that you might have cancer, the first time they're going to react real strong, just like that first, chemical you take. It's going to hit you real strong. But then by the 20th time, nobody's going to care and nobody's going to believe you. And that's also sad because you didn't think it through at all, that if you keep going down this road, no one's going to care. And then you've actually just alienated everyone around you because you're crying wolf all the time. And thank you, Zoe. I appreciate that. All of the things that you listed off about me that you like. I do appreciate that. Yeah, and you shouldn't benefit from them, Luna. There's no reason to benefit from them. There's nothing to benefit from. But the people that don't actually have these things going on are benefiting. They are benefiting, and that's when you know that it's not legit. It's not legit, you know. So. And yeah, Shauna, sometimes, more often than I care to admit, doctors don't look deeply enough into things or take their patients seriously enough to, like, actually understand that something's wrong. And so things will get overlooked, and the patient will then believe their medical professional, and then they go home, and then they die. And that's terrible. Other times, the doctor will believe you, and they'll be like, okay, let's run the tests. All right, whatever, but it's, not legit. And then they realize, oh, this person is actually about to die, for whatever reason. It's like, of course, other than the hypochondriacs who have no idea what's going on in their body, because any little ache or pain has got to be the end of the world. For the average person, you exist in your body every day. In fact, your consciousness and what makes you who you are is trapped inside of this, corporeal meat suit that you can't escape. You can't leave it. You are trapped in it. You wake up in it every day. You go to sleep in it every day. You walk around in it every day. You feel all of the feelings associated physically and mentally with it every day. And so, of course, you're going to understand when something is awry. Unless, once again, you are a hypochondriac, in which case everything is awry all the time. Yeah, and that shit can be sometimes a cry for help. Yeah, when no one cares anymore, then it's just like, what do I do? What do I say? How do I get attention? How do I get somebody to love me or care about me? Well, they obviously made the wrong decision. Obviously. But that's just proving my point even more, for sure. Luna, thank you. I appreciate that very much. I do. I'm glad to hear it. And thank you for liking the live as well. It's getting cold in here. I'm gonna close the windows. I would really like to get to 50K before we end the stream. So for those of you here in the stream, if we could band together, like the live, and fucking go up to that 50K, that would be great. And then we will end it there. I don't want to have to end it before we hit that, though. Sure, Zoe. I'm too exhausted to stand up and show you my outfit. To be honest, I'm extremely exhausted. I'm not nearly as mentally sharp as I should be, could be, or would be. At all. At all. but I'm doing my best. Well, I also get, 10 messages a minute, Zoe, so I sometimes miss things. Again, do not take it fucking personally if I miss your message or I don't respond to it or whatever. It's not, I don't hate you all of the sudden. I just didn't see it, probably. I just probably didn't see it. So, no, yeah, I'm not doing OOTD tonight. I don't feel like it. I am definitely exhausted, tired, and I'd like to bring that back when more of the community is here that remembers that tradition, which would be at an earlier time on a different day when I've got that feel. But also, like, you're only here twice a week, so that makes it fucking hard too. So, we'll do it. We'll do it. I'm happy to do it. My outfit isn't complex or anything special at all, by the way. Like, I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, but I mean, it's a nice t-shirt. It's a really nice t-shirt, actually. It's a really, really nice t-shirt, but the jeans are nice too, but it's a simple outfit is the point. That's the point. And Ken, love to hear that. Love to hear that. Yeah. A lot of people in the stream, they just chill. They just chill and listen, and they, some people will have things to add, and that's perfectly fine. I think that's great, because that helps me continue. That helps me to keep going, and not go through any pauses or anything like that. But for those of you that are just chilling in the stream, just listening, just hanging out and just absorbing the information, that's great too. Like, I absolutely love that shit. And treating it like a podcast, I think that's really cool. And I get what you mean, Ken, because that's what it is, essentially. I was actually thinking earlier today, it was actually a thought that I had earlier today when, like, some of you guys asked me if I would read a book on stream, if I would read a book, period, for an audio book, something like that. And it's like, I'd be a lot more likely to start like a podcast and talk on certain subjects or certain things, because you'd still get my voice that way, and I wouldn't be reading a fucking script, because I don't want to do that, again, granted, like, if I was like commissioned, which I never would be, but like for an extremely exaggerated example, Simon and Schuster came to me and they were like, hey, we'd really like you to narrate the newest editions of the Lord of the Rings books. I'd be like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Even if even if you didn't pay me, I would do that. That'd be so special, so cool, amazing, and iconic for a long time to come. So I'd do that, but other than that, like, it'd have to be a really special book to really get me to want to just read off a script and have good takes and like work 8 hours a day at this. So for me, like, podcast is a bit more enticing. That's something I would consider. I was thinking about it today because, yeah, like, exactly that. The stream is a podcast in its own right. It's a live podcast, in its way, and obviously answering questions and things like that, which podcasters actually do quite frequently, depending on the podcast or the episode. But it's just interesting that you mentioned that, Ken, because, yeah, I was actually having that thought earlier today. It may happen. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I still haven't done it quite yet, so who knows if it ever will. It ever will be. Well, you wouldn't see me read because I'd be just reading for an audiobook, and you just hear it in your ear and not, in your sight. And for legal purposes, I couldn't just read someone's intellectual property on my stream and then benefit from it, you know? I just don't think that's how that works. I don't think. Now, granted, I could, but again, that would basically be like if I was sitting here and everything that I said to you guys during any stream, any day, was dictated on a sheet of paper sitting behind my phone. None of it was live. Actually, it was all just dictated to me. I have cue cards, you know, like, and that's all it is. So, like, sure, like, if push came to shove and you really twisted my arm, like, maybe I'd do, like, YouTube videos of me reading a book. But again, I just think that no matter how I chop it, stream, podcast, YouTube video, you're now encroaching into intellectual property territory that you're not licensed for, you know? You have to get a license from the author to be able to, you know, financially benefit from their work, sort of thing. So that would be a dicey road. But I'm glad that you think it would, you know, be attractive and nice, Luna. Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate it, Ken. That's something, you know, if you guys are anything like me at all, which quite a few of you are, you find enjoyment in making a daily routine out of learning new things and expanding your knowledge and finding new ways to think about things for the better and improving yourself and your life. These are all topics that we cover pretty extensively because these are the things that I understand very extensively. And your health, improving your health also. And so, like, if you just literally listen podcast style, that's great too. You know, if you're not in the chat and you're just listening podcast style, that's great. Because, like Ken said, you're here and you're benefiting from it and you're enriching your life. So, it's great. Thanks for the follow, Zoe. That's good you followed me on that account, though. I appreciate that. Anyways, yes, Shauna, Luna, Luna, thank you for the yes, and Ken, thank you for that, and Tay, thanks for the follow, and yes, anyway, Shauna, I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to be sleeping in tomorrow, till the afternoon. It's 4 a.m., so I'll be sleeping in till the afternoon, 100%, and I am so fucking excited for it. I'm so fucking excited for it. And, anyways, I love you all so very much. I appreciate you all so very much. I will see you tomorrow, and guess what? I'll be a lot more rested tomorrow, so that's good. That's exciting. I do appreciate it. Shauna, and thank you for the lovely fan art, Shauna, also. Yeah, exactly, Kim. You've got to study a lot, and so here's the thing. If you have the option between being here and being a listener, or not being here at all, of course, you should be a listener, and I want you to be. It's simple as that. Because a lot of you guys have, you know, an extensive nightly routine or responsibilities you've got to take care of. Every night you got to walk your dog. Every night you got to study for school the next day. Every night you've got to take a shower. You've got to wash your face, whatever it might be. You've got the stream going in the background. You're listening. And yeah, maybe you don't have the, you know, the same nice little benefit of the rest of the stream members that are able to talk to me live and really add to the stream in that way, but you're still able to take away and get things out of the stream that are beneficial and positive. So I love to hear that, Ken. Anyways, guys, I love you so very much. Thank you, Zoe. It's fine. We'll do it tomorrow. Shauna, Luna, Ken, Zoe, all of you, everybody in the in the stream that's watching or listening that isn't necessarily in the chat. I love you and appreciate you so very much. Thank you for all of you that have shared and reposted the stream. Thank you to all of you who have liked the stream. Thank you for all of you who have supported the stream, especially above all, because again, the supporters are the only reason I'm able to do this, as you guys know. So, and my super fans also. Love you all very much. I have 1% battery, so I've really got to wrap this up right now. I love you all. Good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Wow.